Experience doesn't pay the bill.
You don't have to listen to me, folks. That was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying it clear as day. Experience, it doesn't pay the bills. And young people, millennials, shouldn't tolerate an economic system that not only underpays us, but that in some cases actually demands we work for free in the hopes that one day we may not work for free. Unpaid internships are deeply exploitative. They devalue the labor of those who do them, but they also devalue the labor of all those around that person. They effectively displace work, and I know some employers will say that unpaid internships only apply to work that wouldn't have been done in the first place, but that's largely BS. In addition to all of that, unpaid internships are heavily inegalitarian. Only people who can afford to work for free can work for free. All the rest of the people, they have to go suck an egg. And if it really is true that unpaid internships are a great opportunity, and that the exposure and networking you get from them and the experience you get from them is a great opportunity, then effectively we're only perpetuating inequalities of opportunity if we provide jobs that don't pay. If high-profile jobs in politics and in arts and culture and in so many other fields are only available to those with the means to work for free due to the parental support they have or what have you, it effectively means that poor, working class, often racialized people are excluded from those jobs, and that those perspectives won't be heard, and that their worldviews won't be reflected. And we ask ourselves, well, where's the diversity? Where's the actual diversity of point of views? Where's the working class or racialized voice in the room? And in some cases, in some fields, it never got a chance because those voices can't work for free. They simply do not have the means to do so. And this is also gendered. 100% it's gendered. Women are more often asked to work for free than men. Now, it's not 100% gender-based, of course not. Men do unpaid internships. Often women are able to find paid work. But if you look, at least here in Canada, I can say this. Many universities have co-op programs, usually in fields that are male-dominated, in computer science and in engineering. And yet when you go to teaching and nursing, those fields, they have required courses where you have to work in schools and in clinics and hospitals, what have you, and yet you are not compensated. Worse yet, you pay for the privilege to work. You pay for that privilege if you're in a field that is historically dominated by women. Yet if you do a co-op, you get paid, and often reasonably well, to do that work. And so even in our universities, we're telling women their work has less value. We're telling the people who do work that is classified as women's work that that work has less value. I don't want to make this a long video, but I just think this is all really, really ironic, isn't it? For all the millennials watching, don't you guys know that we're the laziest generation? Don't you guys know that we're the generation that just takes and takes and takes and never gives anything back? Don't you know we're the generation that wants avocado toast and fancy phones, and that's why we don't have mortgages or health insurance? Don't you guys know all of that? Don't you know that we're the generation that's impatient, that we want the corner office at 23 and we're not willing to work for it? Don't you know all that? And of course, you've heard all of that, and we know that that's a lie. This generation is among the hardest working generations in recent history. It is the most educated generation in human history, and it's a generation that is deeply engaged and deeply motivated to build a better world. And yet those same people, those same boomers, those same elites that chastise us for saying it's our fault that we're poor, it's our fault we don't have health insurance, it's our fault that we don't have mortgages, it's our fault that we can't afford to have babies, are the same ones that perpetuate a structure where working for free is seen as socially acceptable. And not just socially acceptable, but seen as a rightful rite of passage. That the most selfish generation is really the generation that more than any in the past, it should be happy to work for free. We should be happy. We should be elated to go to a 4-year university degree and come out of that degree to work for free. And then in the hopes, in the faintest of hopes, that we may one day do the same work, but not for free. This is why having more young progressive people in politics matter. Ocasio-Cortez in politics matters when she stands against unpaid internships for the inequalities that they perpetuate and for the injustice that they represent. She is standing up for all young workers, those of us who have done unpaid labor, but even just the others who maybe have never had to do it, but because there's an expectation, there's always that pressure. And so when we have leaders stand up against this, it's all for the better. We need to let people know that our labor has universal value and that the unpaid internship model, even for academic credit, is unacceptable and should be banished forever. All work should be paid, at the very least, at the minimum wage in the applicable jurisdiction. If you're going to teacher's college, you should be paid for the time you're in the classroom. If you're going to nursing school, you should be paid for your time in the clinic. If you're doing any kind of practical workplace learning as part of education, you should be paid. And this, of course, applies to those unpaid internships that aren't even connected to academic credit. There should be no work done that isn't paid for with at least the minimum wage. To me, that's a debate in our times just goes to show how little regard people actually have for the young generation today. How the people in power, which are disproportionately older folks, the boomer generation, maybe some Gen Xers, but mostly boomers and older, have for us. Again, these are the people that say we're lazy. These are the people that say we're image obsessed. These are the people that say we're materialistic. And yet they're the ones that have the gall to demand we work for free for the privilege of not working for free. It's gotta stop. Unpaid internships have to go. All work deserves to be compensated. And we as millennials, the generation that has suffered from this unpaid work so deeply, we have to be the ones that end it. Because I know, and I hope you guys do too, that we don't want to perpetuate the systems of injustice that have been used against us.